It's already time for the Group C premiere on The Masked Singer. We're going to meet four new competitors: the Poodle Moth, the Clock, Spaghetti and Meatballs, and Lizard. And by the end of the episode, one will be unmasked. Let's talk about The Masked Singer. Hey guys, Dan here. This is Dan Reviews It, and welcome to my recap and reaction video for episode 3 of the new Masked Singer season 11, and we're already up to Group C. They've switched up how they do things like they do every season just to keep us on our toes a little bit. Traditionally, they will do Group A for like 2 or 3 weeks, then Group B for 2 or 3 weeks, and then finally, like halfway through the season, we meet Group C. But this year, that is not how they're doing it. I like it better this way because I feel like when they do it the other way, by the time it comes back around to Group A, I've like forgotten everybody and, have to check my notes and all of that. So I kind of like that they're doing it A, B, and C, and hopefully next week then will bring us back to Group A. But before we go any further into this episode, let me welcome you into Dan Reviews It. Thank you for finding this video. We do Masked Singer recaps every single week here on the channel, and they're always among my most popular videos. We sort of unpack the clues together. In the comments is where I get to interact with you guys, and I always need help with at least one of the contestants. This week, it might be 2. We'll see. But already, I've gotten some help from you guys this season. We'll go back and talk about Group B in a second. But think about subscribing if you are not one of my subscribers already. Would love to have you aboard there. And, of course, like this video. That helps the channel, too. But check out my other videos. I don't just do Masked Singer content. I've got tons of movie and TV review videos up. And just about every day I do post something new. So there's always a lot to check out. So let's go to Group B for a second because you guys had been talking to me about some of these guys in the comments, and I do think I'm right on my guesses for Miss Cleopatra and the Beats, which is Jennifer Lewis and Ruben and Clay from American Idol for the Beats. But the Gumball, I was a little bit lost on that one, and you guys pointed me in the direction of a person that I would never have thought of. I'm not even sure I really knew their name. I certainly knew the person, but Scott Porter, who played on Friday Night Lights, that's where I know him, but he's also on the show called Heart of Dixie, and there was a clue last week with a heart surrounding some of those southern states, including Louisiana and Alabama and Mississippi. So, the heart of that would be kind of Dixieland, right? So putting those couple clues together, I think that makes sense. So I'm going to officially switch my guess for one of the Group B contestants, the Gumball, to Scott Porter. So we'll see how that does for me. This time we have 4 new contestants. Now, this is interesting because Nick said, and I think this is just referring to Group C in general, but he said these are the final contestants of The Masked Singer. But earlier in the season, he said there are 16 competitors, and so far we've only met 5 from Group A, and then 4 in Group B and 4 in Group C. So by my math, that's only 13. So each one should still have a wild card. I think he just was saying Group C is the final group to go, but I don't believe these are the final contestants. I think we will have a few wild cards. So Poodle Moth, Clock, Spaghetti and Meatballs, and the Lizard, and it is Billy Joel night. I should mention that too. The man was not there, of course, but not of course. I guess sometimes they do have the famous people there, but in any event, it was all Billy Joel songs all night, and we kicked it off with a banger from Robin. You forget sometimes how good of a singer Robin is. He's really, other than the female at the end, who right now is Rita Ora, usually it's Nicole Scherzinger, they can both obviously sing. But people forget how Robin Thicke can actually sing. He did come up in the sort of auto-tune era. All of his hits really were in the early to maybe 2010s, a little bit, the early 2000s. So, you forget sometimes that he's a really good singer. So I love to see that. All right, so Poodle Moth was first. And I think this is the one I need the most help with, just like last week. So we'll start there anyway. She said that only one poodle moth has actually been discovered in the world, but you only need to be discovered once. Poodle moth, I guess, is a real thing. I did actually look it up because I'm like, what the F is a poodle moth? I don't curse on my channel, but I almost did because I was so frustrated by what is a poodle moth. They're really getting weird with the characters, but the poodle moth is a real thing. It does exist. So okay. She said, I've always been drawn to the flame, but felt like the bright lights weren't meant for me. We see a cowboy hat at that point. She said, I always told myself I wasn't smart or funny or talented enough, so I helped others achieve their dreams, but wanted to spread my own wings. And we see a book with an American flag on it. So I took the leap and was discovered. And we see paper lanterns at that point. And then she sings Just the Way You Are by Billy Joel, of course. And then the clue afterwards, they threw a baseball into the panel for, all of Billy Joel's gigs at Madison Square Garden, I guess. And well, that's not a baseball stadium, right? Oh, I guess because he had that famous concert at Yankee Stadium in the 80s. Well, whatever. Opry was on the ball, Grand Ole Opry. So she said, I felt like a big star when I performed at the Grand Ole Opry. So the guesses from the panel, Trisha Yearwood, who, of course, is married to another very, very famous country singer, Garth Brooks, but she has a song with American flag or something in the title. Jenny guessed Winona Judd. Not a bad one, although I don't know if she would do this show so soon after her mother's passing. I feel like because they filmed this a few months ago, which is why Nicole couldn't be on because she's in a West End production. So I kind of discount that guess. And then Rita Wilson from Ken, because he guesses Rita Wilson every damn season. One of these days, maybe she will be on. She can sing. I mean, this is Tom Hanks' wife, by the way, Rita Wilson, and an actress in her own right. But I think we're going more towards maybe the country clues, cowboy hat, the American flag. I unfortunately I don't know country people's discographies that well, and like I've said on this show many times, I try not to look up too much about who could be under the masks. Every so often I'll look up something, specific that they might say in a clue package. But for the most part, I just kind of go off my noggin. And so unfortunately, country music is not one of my fortes. So that is why I need your guys' help with this. The paper lanterns, though, reminded me a little bit of Tangled. Well, reminded me a lot of Tangled, which is a fantastic movie. And I was thinking maybe Mandy Moore, but I don't know. Didn't quite hear that in the voice. Obviously, she is a huge singer from the early 2000s, but then, has transitioned now into movies and television with This Is Us. But I don't know. I don't think she ever performed at the Grand Ole Opry. The part where she says, I helped others achieve their dreams, tells me that maybe for a little while she was more behind the scenes, like a songwriter or maybe a producer or something like that. I don't know enough about country music. Winona Judd is not a bad guess, but I just feel like maybe this was too soon after her mother's suicide. So I just don't see her being under the mask. I don't think it's Rita Wilson. Ken needs to get off of that. There's a few other people that came to mind. So I'm going to go a little outside the box from what the panel said, just because this person has been on The Masked Singer before as a panelist, and Fox does like to kind of keep their their synergy or whatever. This person also hosts a TV show on Fox called Farmer Wants a Wife. I believe that's the title of it. I think this might be Jennifer Nettles. She just because they like to kind of have people that are, friends of the show come on and whatever. So I don't know. I'm really out on the country music stuff. So maybe you guys can help me a little bit more on that. I don't know what a lot of these clues mean, but certainly Jennifer Nettles has performed at the Grand Ole Opry. The cowboy hat makes sense. The American flag makes sense. And she's been on the show before. So I'm going to say the poodle moth could be Jennifer Nettles. All right, up next, The Clock. And she said that Billy Joel and I are both timeless. She was the belle of the ball at one time. We see a disco ball at that point. I had the whole world dancing from dusk till dawn, and she picked up a baby at that point. She said, everyone knew my name, but trends changed, and I was afraid I would become frozen in time. So I reinvented myself and had massive success again on my own terms, and even performed for a president. And at that point, she is spinning a globe. So I thought maybe that meant not necessarily a U.S. president, but then I thought, wait a second, the globe is made of gold in this clue package. She is a Golden Globe winner, I'm thinking. All right, so she sings Piano Man, and the clue is Vienna, the Billy Joel song. The guy plays it on the piano, and she says, "It's all about seizing the day, and I have a date in my name." And at first I thought that meant like, she had, like her name was April something or whatever. But no, I think all she means is, she's famous enough that some city has decreed, this person's day, like, whatever. So, people have that all the time. Not necessarily like a holiday like Martin Luther King, but, okay, this is, like Kelsey Grammer has one for being on Frasier. It's Frasier Crane Day or Kelsey Grammer Day. So something like that, I guess. All right, so the guesses from the panel, Anita Baker, from Jenny. And Jenny, is on it sometimes and sometimes not so much. I don't hear Anita Baker in the voice at all, and disco is too early for Anita Baker. She really hit her stride in the mid to late 80s, and that's just not her voice. She has a very, very unmistakable voice. And this was sang, like, amazingly, by the way. Let's not kid around. This is, Clock could be a pretty serious contender here for the championship. Evelyn Champagne King was mentioned by Robin. Not a bad guess, certainly a disco person. Was she ever a household name? I don't know. That was a little before my time. And then also, has she reinvented herself to come back on top? And I don't think so. And then Diana Ross came from Ken. That is not a bad guess. And Rita kind of piggybacked on that, Rita Ora, and said she picked up the baby. That could stand for the Supreme song Baby Love. But I wouldn't associate her with disco necessarily. Yeah, she had some disco hits, certainly with Upside Down and some of that stuff. She's definitely changed with some of the trends over the years. But of course, Motown is, where we would know her originally from. However, she certainly was a household name. Of these three guesses, I think that might be the best. But I had a thought, and my longtime commenter, my dear friend Nyan, who has been part of, I think they discovered me through the Masked Singer reviews, but now they are a huge fan of my channel, and I always appreciate that. But they have been wanting for years someone from Hocus Pocus to be on this show. And I think the people that make the most sense would be Kathy Najimy or Sarah Jessica Parker, because I think this other person is too big, and that's Bette Midler. But I gotta say, I think this might be Bette Midler. I think Diana Ross is actually a pretty good guess, but for my dear friend Diane, I'm gonna guess Bette Midler, and here's why. So, Bette Midler got her start in bathhouses, right? Which are not necessarily discos, but, gay bathhouses were all the rage in the 70s, the free love movement and all of that. And, keeping people dancing from dusk till dawn, they were open all night, certainly. But she definitely has a Golden Globe. The baby, I don't know about. I don't know if she has children, right? But everyone knows Bette Midler for sure, even back then, because she had that big hit with The Rose back in like the late 70s, I guess. And then, of course, as trends changed, disco era came out of fashion. Gay bathhouses obviously weren't such a thing. And then she certainly reinvented herself and forged her own path with movies and the music. Because, of course, by the late 80s, she had a #1 with Wind Beneath My Wings from her hit movie Beaches. She was also in a lot of, movies at that time, Outrageous Fortune, and was she in Big Business with Lily Tomlin? I think she was. And then, of course, in the early 90s was Hocus Pocus. And she has definitely performed for a president. I would say probably Clinton, but maybe Obama too. I don't know. But here's what really got me thinking about her. The choice of song here, The Piano Man. Her start in the bathhouses, right, was with a famous piano player, then not famous, but became very famous, Barry Manilow. And so I just was thinking like the whole aura of like The Piano Man, and then, her clue even, was someone performing Vienna on the piano. And this was right around the time of the song Piano Man being big. I mean, Billy Joel came up, in the mid-70s, and so did Bette Midler. And then, so after, I don't usually go back and listen to it after I have, an idea like that, but I went back and listened to the performance again, and I really think this could be Bette Midler. I mean, that would be a huge get for the Masked Singer. That is a huge, huge star. But why not? We've seen stranger things on this show. Dick Van Dyke is a huge star, and he did it at 90. What was he at the time? 95 or 96? I think he's 97 now. But who knows? I'm going to say the clock. Bette Midler. All right. So next we have the spaghetti and meatballs, and this person went up in the finals. Or in the, what do they call it, the SmackDown with the Lizard. And actually, Spaghetti Meatballs is getting voted off. So we'll actually come back to, we'll do it now. We'll do the take it off, and then we'll talk about the Lizard. That's how I usually do it, I guess. He says, throughout my career, I've worn many different hats, searching for a life full of flavor. And I started out on Wall Street choosing the the almighty dollar. And we see the Italian banca, which I assume is bank in Italian. I don't speak Italian, but when he talks about Wall Street. But it started to be stale. So I raced after the Dome. We see a race car at that point, like Jenny pointed out it's a Ferrari. I just wrote sports car. But he said, I mastered the secret recipe for success, and I would like to spice things up tonight. And he sings Only the Good Die Young. Another great Billy Joel song. I mean, there aren't too many bad Billy Joel songs, but that's another great one. And his post-song clue was a pizza that actually said Showtime on it in pepperoni. He said, not spent, so it's a current. He said, I spend a good portion of my time on a hit show. So the guesses from the panel remain the same, both after he sang originally and then after the SmackDown. And so we had the guesses. Robin said Stanley Tucci, which, he has that famous show where he travels and we know he can sing. And so all of these guesses really a little on the nose for the Spaghetti and Meatballs clue, because he's got a giant chef's hat in the clue package. So they're going with chefs and stuff. Stanley Tucci, not a chef, but he does that eating show. What is it? Is it Touring Around Italy or whatever the hell it's called? And we know he can sing because he's done some musicals before. But then all these other people are straight up chefs with TV shows. Jenny said Guy Fieri, playing off the Ferrari theme in the racing for the dough thing. Rita Ora said Gordon Ramsay. And that's another pretty good guess, because obviously Gordon Ramsay has a lot of shows on Fox, so that synergy again. So that makes sense. And then Ken was thinking Bobby Flay, another obviously very famous TV chef. All right, so I'm not sure on this one. I think really a lot of these are good guesses, but the thing that got me, and I'm going to go with Jenny on this. I think this is Guy Fieri. And I don't think she said Guy Fieri. I say Fieri, but I guess I've heard it both. But in any event, the thing that gets me is the quote where he says, I've worn many different hats, searching for a life full of flavor. Guy Fieri's thing is Flavor Town. You're in Flavor Town. So that one word is kind of what got me there. And then her making that comparison, I don't think I would have figured out the race car thing. But her making that comparison to Ferrari, Guy Fieri, whatever you want to say. So I think that's going to be my official guess here. All of these other ones make sense for really all the people. I don't know who has a history of working on Wall Street. I can't imagine Guy Fieri does, but and Gordon Ramsay certainly wouldn't, because he comes not from America. So I don't know. That's my best guess. Let's go to the take it off. They don't usually do characters this on the nose, costumes, but with the chef's hat and everything, I think it makes the most sense to be Guy Fieri. And his show, I think Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives is still in production, right? So let's see. All right. And it seems like the exact celebrity that would do this show. Let's see. No, who the hell is that? Okay. he's from MasterChef. I guess I maybe have seen him. Okay. MasterChef is a Fox show. Hold on, I actually have to rewind what the name is because I literally don't know this person. Joe something. Every so often there's somebody I've never heard of. Joe Oh, they took it off too quick. Bastinich or something? What the heck? All right. Joe Bastinage or something. Okay, well, I never would have got that in 1,000 freaking years. I've never heard of that person. All right. This is now 2 in a row that I've never really heard of. Last week, was it Savannah Chrisley? I know who that is, but I mean, I know who the Chrisley family is, I guess, but I didn't know her. Usually it is a chef that I've not heard of. I think it was maybe 2 seasons ago. There was another chef that I didn't know. All right, well, listen, I had no chance at that, so I don't feel bad about not getting that, but that means I won for 3 so far this season. I hope some of these other guesses pan out, because that's rough. All right, well, I was never going to get that, but he is on a Fox show, so they do, that's good synergy. That actually bolsters my Jennifer Nettles clue a little bit, since she has a show on Fox as well, but I never would have gotten that. Master Chef, I've maybe seen 1 episode of that. Okay, so that was, I was way off on that. All right, they all seem to know. All right, let's move on to the lizard. I don't have anything else to say about him because I don't know who he is. All right, he says, the lizard says, some might label me a ladies' man and a bad boy type, but that's not the real me. Despite some of my bigger hits, I tend to see people on the inside. When I met the love of my life, she was the definition of an uptown girl. And we see like a little TMZ sort of riff there. And he says, this downtown devil was smitten. And we see a lollipop shaped like a heart. And then years later, she was fed up with my shenanigans. We see the crab, which Jenny McCarthy pointed out was Bobby Brown on this show. But I told my wife she's pregnant, and it turned out to be true. And my whole world is my family now. We see a Christmas ball at that point. And he said, this is their favorite show, and that's why I wanted to do it. And the song he sang appropriately from the clue package is Uptown Girl. It was the whole thing was like a mechanic's garage kind of motif in the clue package. And he did when the lyric, I'm a Backstreet guy, or he's looking for whatever the lyric is about Backstreet guy, he points to himself. So I thought, oh, this could be like one of the Backstreet Boys maybe, but I wasn't really getting that from the tones of the voice. So then the clue was a taxi going by, a New York taxi. Of course, Billy Joel's all about New York, that said Billboard on it. And he said, I've had a #1 billboard, not in the sky, but on the charts, or whatever he said. So everybody, because of the Bobby Brown crab sort of reference, was guessing people from New Edition. In fact, they ran through everybody on New Edition, except they ruled out Johnny Gill because the voice didn't sound right. But they said everybody from Bell Biv DeVoe, Michael Bivins, Ronnie DeVoe, and then Ralph Tresvaught's name came up. So Robin went a little bit off that path and thought maybe it was Ray J. I'm more on that tip, the Ray J tip. I don't think it's Ray J. I have another guess, but I think it's somebody younger than the New Edition crew, because the way he's moving, I mean, New Edition, they've got to be probably older than me, right? Yeah, because like their hits were in the early, like 84, 85, mid 80s. I was like 8. They were probably, in their teens, 13, 14, 15. So they're in their 50s now. This guy was like really moving and grooving. So I'm thinking somebody younger than that. So I was trying to think of the clues. I don't know too much necessarily about this guy, but I was thinking about #1 hits on Billboard. Lollipop was the obvious clue there when he was holding the lollipop. So my mind immediately went to Lil Wayne, but he's already done this show, so it's not him. Although I think it would be interesting if they had people come back, but you didn't know. Like, it wasn't like an all-stars Masked Singer. Like, you just straight up didn't know that a person was returning. I really think they should do that, but I don't think it's Lil Wayne. And it was something in the SmackDown that actually made me think of this person, because before I wasn't quite sure. But one of the dance moves he made, I think this is Cisco. And he has, despite some of my bigger hits, his biggest hit is the thong song. So obviously that is all about, thongs, the booty, all of that stuff, so despite that, I tend to see people on the inside. So obviously, we're thinking of that. I don't have necessarily a Bobby Brown connection, because he had that crab. But then I thought, well, you know what? The thong song video was on the beach. So the crab would just make sense for that. It doesn't necessarily have to be a Bobby Brown reference. And then the other thing with the lollipop, he has a song with Lil Kim. And what was the name of it? I think it's called "Lick It Up" or something like that. Not, no, that's a Kiss song, but it's something about lick something. And here we go again, with the theme of like people's bodies rather than loving them on the inside. I forget what the exact song was called, but it was something like that, "Lick Me Up" or something. So there you go. That could be the lollipop clue. I just think all of these clues seem to match up. I don't know who he's married to, so that one doesn't really help me. But yeah, I mean, he certainly had a huge hit with the Thong Song. I don't know if it hit number one on the Hot 100, but certainly on the R&B chart it did. And just the way he's moving, I'm thinking way younger than somebody from New Edition. So that's my guess on that one, Cisco. All right, well, that will do it then. Let me know in the comments what you think of my guesses. I really think I need the most help on the first one, the Poodle Moth. And if it's Bette Midler, Under the Clock, that would be a get for sure for the Masked Singer. But you know what? She is such a good performer. She could take it all the way. I mean, she could be in the finals. Would somebody that big agree to do this show if it meant maybe performing for weeks on end? I don't know. But I think it's an interesting guess nonetheless. And Cisco, I don't know how confident I am on that, but I think that's a pretty good guess too. So, all right. Thank you for watching. Check out my other videos. I don't just do Masked Singer content on this channel. But yeah, you may like something else I post. But in any event, either way, we'll see you next week. I assume we'll be back with Group A and maybe see a wild card for that. So, all right. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time.